Why should you be cautious about asking a vampire out for Valentine's Day? Well, sometimes they're a bit of a pain in the neck. What's going on, YouTube? It is the lunch break hour, which means we're inside the Infinite Archive. Inside of Apocrypha, we have 3 actual vendors to go over every Tuesday. These rotate from Tuesday to Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard or 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. And as always, first one's at Infinite Archive. And don't forget to pick up the coins. The coins over here on this side, though, they're fraudulent. They don't exist. But we talk about this bad mamma jamma because he has leads. He's got collectibles. How good is the first one? Well, it is part of the Sea Serpent's Coil, and you actually have to kill a world boss to get this bad mamma jamma. Now, if you were to Google this, one of the very first things that you'll notice to the left is that people are like, is it bugged? Am I losing my mind? And if you're like me and you have, 21,000 archival fortunes because you grinded a little bit with your boy David, everybody's got a friend David, hopefully. Well, sometimes I wish I had a friend a little bit more consistent. No offense, David. He's a little bit of a silly goose sometimes, just sitting on Netflix all day. What a rapscallion. But maybe you want to purchase this just so that way you don't have to sit and farm a world boss. But I always have a mantra of try to get something at least 3 times on your own. Like just go there if nobody's farming it, whatever, just go back, buy it, and then be done with it. Especially because this is more of a PvP-esque lead, the Sea Serpent's chain. So overall, that's what I would do. It's a good lead, but it's by no means essential. But if you're worried that you're going to be, spending too much money this week, don't, because this next one you just pick up off the ground. So don't worry about that one at all. Just pick it up off the ground. If you wanted to get the entire Telvanni Alchemy Station, I believe all of them are just picked up off the ground. So you don't have to worry about buying any of these for 5,000 archival fortunes. In fact, if you did, I'd have to slap you with a wet pool noodle. Next one is Selene's Mask. Now, this one has some spider vibes to it, definitely. Now, if you wanted to get this, it's 15,000 archival fortunes. It would be bound to you, so you can't sell this. But it is not really an expensive one. You can see there's literally one up on PC right now for 300 Thou Wow. 300 bands, I think, is how the cool kids refer to it. But likely that's actually a really good deal. So you'll probably see that one get purchased. And usually, too, if you're ever curious, you can actually click on these and in the Tamriel Trade Center. And you can see like the overtime value of it. And even over time, this thing is just not very expensive. What I would say, though, is that it's a very low trading volume and not a lot of people are selling this. So if you really wanted to get this, probably now is a decent time while people are thinking about it. But that's what I would say regarding Selene's Mask. Again, looks like this bad boy right here. Next up is East March Treasure Maps, nowhere near the value. The problem is that you can just buy alchemy bags, provisioning bags, and make significantly more money. So there has to be something really commendable in there to make it worth it. Light armor is interesting if you're interested in getting any sort of like companion healing gear, probably the one that you want to roll for. Is it worth it? Potentially. Oftentimes, like after every ESO event, companion gear just fluctuates kind of crazily. So you could look and be like, oh, like a lot of people have listed some light armor pieces. I'm going to snatch them up. And if you already have a bunch of light armor pieces, if you're only missing one specific piece, the odds of you rolling for, the chest piece that you need is really low. So it'll probably just depend on you. It's not a bad get. It just will be very circumstantial. And that's honestly why I like these vendors is it's like a lot of these things are circumstantial. Like, for example, Finbar, the Resurrected. Do you want to work on resurrecting Finbar or Finbor? Depends, really. What's your personal relationship to him? And then we have Tidefall Cantos 2. Now, if you wanted to get the whole trilogy and you were just missing the first one, this is a great get for 1,000 archival fortunes. But for most of us, it's just not worth it. Next up, we have our scripts. We have Brutality and Sorcery, which is a pretty decent one. Uncertainty, bit cattywampus. Pull, it's a good one. War Mages, Defense, which is a decent one. The problem is these are just so expensive. Like the justification needed to farm these with our Infinite archival fortunes would need to be pretty significant. Because I've already purchased these. These are more expensive if you don't have them already. And when you think about it, yes, something like Brutality and Sorcery is great because then you don't have to use potions. You can just weave it in a little easier on different types of builds. Pull is pretty great to have, especially on tank classes that don't have access to them. but the odds of you needing it to spend your archival fortunes on is just really unlikely. And then trophies, unfortunately, I mean, you can buy the cartographer's mask. It comes from a public dungeon, a few thousand gold at most. You get the skeever pet. This one drops from the Infinite Archive as is. And then this one is part of a skill style, which I did check is actually kind of an annoying one to do. So you would have to actually go and get the fragment. And this one comes from Vakuza, the Ascendant in Moonhunter Keep. So not the most fun dungeon to farm, even on normal difficulty. But if you wanted to get this skill style, you're going to have to do all of these. Now, some of these are really not that really crazy. You know, you got stuff from Delves, Badman's Hollow, Lake Watch Tower, but you would have to do the Blessed Crucible and Moonhunter Keep. Is it worth, 5,000 archival fortunes and not have to run Moonhunter Keep? Probably not, because if you're doing the PvE content of Infinite Archive, you're probably also willing to do Moonhunter Keep, even though it's a little long and mechanic-y and not something you want to just randomly queue into. But I definitely think it's still worth probably just going and doing. Our second vendor here is inside the Scholarium. Now that is inside of Ivea, which is actually outside the plane of existence. If you head on down to here, you can see that, again, every Tuesday, the scripts here rotate. Stuff at the top, the grimoires, they are static. The scripts, however, rotate. You got Courage, Taunt, Class Mastery. That actually is static. It's always there if you have the actual requires Class Mastery achievement. And then Fencer's Parry. Now, these are actually pretty good. Courage can be really good to have because generally you get Courage from a group of people. And if you're trying to do solo content, you're not always easily getting access to things like Courage. So it's a pretty good one to have. Taunting, taunting is just good. Like being able to taunt things is universally helpful if that's what you're getting into. Fencer's Parry, a little bit more niche, but definitely one that could be worth grabbing as well, especially because these are all gold. I know some people are always like, Jake, I don't have a whole lot of access to gold, but I do think it's worth grinding out. If you're ever like, I don't want to get these, just remember too, if you get a duplicate in the future, you can sell it for essentially 1,000 gold, 999 gold. So it's not worth, really a whole lot of risk, even if you do plan to do dailies and you just don't have these already yet. And then we have our final vendor, which is our Tel Var Vendor. Now you can find these inside your Lambient passages. If you just queue into the Imperial City, head down to your Tel Var merchant and you can find yourself an assortment of items. Now, the first thing we have are our PvP sets. It's always guaranteed to be a PvP set. That just means it drops from PvP. Battalion Defender is the first one. When you block, heal yourself or a group member within 15 meters of you for 1342 health. This can occur every 1 second. It scales off your max health, so this would be significantly higher if I wasn't on some PvE build. It's an interesting concept of this set, and it's pretty niche in utilization, but I definitely still think it's good. You're not going to buy it for 100,000 Tel Var. Realistically, I don't know any of these sets you're going to buy for 100,000 Tel Var. I think if they need to half this price. To say that makes it a bad set, though, I think this is probably like an 8 out of 10. You're going to use this in some niche scenarios, PvP, ball groups, healing, cross healing, just free value for blocking, which you're probably doing quite a bit anyway, depending on your role. PvE, not a whole lot of utilization for Battalion Defender, but overall, it's still a great set if you use it in its narrow circumspection. Next up is actually a heavy attack set. So it's 2, 3, and 4 are crit chance, mag recovery, and weapon and spell, which is a bit all over the place. But when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you put a mark of revenge on an enemy for 15 seconds. After 5 marks of revenge on an enemy, they detonate for 6780 magic damage. You can only apply a stack once every half second. So this is the problem with a set like this is just that there's just better ones, like they're just better light and heavy attack builds that you're just going to use. You're going to use the Sergeant's Mail. You're probably going to use something like Noble Duelist, depending on what build you use. You're probably going to use even stuff like Order's Wrath with other light and heavy attack builds just to get extra value. That's the problem with sets like these. It's not that they're inherently not good. It's just that why would you spend Tel Var or gold to get something that you can farm from a dungeon for free from Wayrest Sewers? That's the problem in sets like these. It's probably still, again, like an 8.0 set. I mean, it's great if you were to use it in its best utilization, but overall, it just doesn't meet the value required. Do not worry, though, because this next one drops from a Delve boss. It is the Engen Salt Chain Links. Now, it is from the Saint Seducer Mythic, which is a pretty good mythic, but it's also one of the easiest mythics to get in the game. It's PvP mythic, so PvPers love that it's easy. It's actually the one that just gives you a bunch of random buffs and debuffs to people around you and yourself. Super great mythic, essential for PvP in my opinion, and thankfully pretty much all of its leads are exceptionally easy. The one for this week is from a Delve boss, so easy peasy. This next one is called Pale Order's Golden Band. Now I'll give you 5 guesses if you can guess which mythic that this is attached to, and if you guessed the Pale Order ring, you are absolutely fantastic. Please make sure to like and subscribe on the video because you are a certified genius. Now, unfortunately, there are some really annoying Pale Order-esque leads that you need to get. This is not one of them. This one, it's just like, hey, just come get it, and then you have it, and then that's it. You know, like you'd be spending 25,000 Tel Var to save yourself a trip from the Way Shrine, which might take longer to actually get to this vendor, even if you had the Tel Var to buy it. Then we have our Stonefalls treasure maps. Again, not one that you want to waste your time on. While I do think that Stonefalls is, has some better sets than at least East March, not worth buying. Then we could skip the rings. We already talked about the necklaces. Then we've got scripts. We got Brittle Expedition, Multi-Target, and Assassin's Misery. None of these probably are worth the Tel Var because these are going to cost significantly more if you don't already have them. Now, Brittle is decent, Multi-Target is decent, Expedition is also decent, Assassin's Misery is decent. Like, none of these are bad by any means, but the problem is you're using a premium currency when generally my suggestion would be is just go out and just keep doing daily quests on as many characters as possible. If you guys want like an updated, like best daily quest routine, I could certainly do one. That way it encompasses your ability to get like some of the rarer scripts that can be annoying. But generally, yes, these are good scripts, but not essential by any means. Another, fun little guess for you. Where do you think the Fragment of the Vents comes from? And if you guessed from Volcanic Vents, well, you are a certified genius. Take an IQ test. You are ready to go to Harvard because the Fragment of the Vents does cost more. I think it's 25,000 Tel Var if you don't have it, because unfortunately I already have this one. It just naturally drops from Volcanic Vents. So not one that you really need to worry about. I will tell you that the skill style for Puncture looks really dope when it's in its Lava E form. You can see it kind of up here, but you will have to go do Sunspire, City of Ash, the Cauldron, Volcanic Vents, Forgotten Waste, and Martyr's Folly. I just listed them in hardest to easiest, but it's really the ones at the bottom that are a little more annoying, because it's probably not something you could easily solo Sunspire, even though there's no like, oh, you have to do it on veteran difficulty. But if you're looking for a cool skill style, it is definitely one to consider. Just don't buy this one. Just go and farm these other pieces, because fragments are pretty much, you just get them, versus like leads, which are actually like a chance. You could kill a world boss 70 times, not get a lead, but you'll get a fragment each time. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comments below, /like the video. It'll pull a random community member for me at the end of the month that has done both of those things a few times. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. We're on the road to, I think, 28,000 right now, which is crazy. We were just cruising through. And so thank you guys for all the recent support from since I've started doing this, and since I started doing it on a computer, which helped drastically. And then the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. Have a fantastic Tuesday, everybody. Hope you guys have a really nice lunch break. I'm going to start eating here soon, so I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.